Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to News Dose. So it is the beginning of July, which of course means more Xbox Game Pass games, and well, actually a lot more because a total of 14 games so far have been confirmed for the month of July. Now keep in mind, this isn't even the entirety of the month, as they typically do announce these games in waves, but there's definitely a few games here that you might want to pay attention to here if you haven't already played them. And then of course, a few interesting day one titles as well. You always gotta love those day one releases. Per usual though, you Xbox Game Pass subscribers out there are nothing short of spoiled. Beyond that though, we'll also be talking about PlayStation today, as we now have more evidence that they might be looking into PlayStation 3 emulation for the PlayStation 5 after all. So make sure to stay tuned for all of that. First though, let's go over some of the quick news, starting off with a couple of Rockstar remasters. A new report just made its way online that Rockstar indeed was working on two much requested remasters, being Red Dead Redemption and then Grand Theft Auto 4. This was originally leaked by Tez2, which has leaked prior Rockstar news accurately, and here they do claim that a remaster for both of these games were originally on the table just a few short years ago. But since Rockstar has decided not to go forward with these projects, maybe possibly because the poor reception of the GTA trilogy that released last year. If that truly is the reason behind this decision though, to me that does seem kind of odd. And the reason that I say that is because the GTA's trilogy announcement was actually received very well. There was originally a lot of hype for its modern compilation. The poor reception though really just kind of boils down to the execution. Rockstar did not do a good job with these games. There were bugs, there were glitches, and there were also performance problems. But if they would have done a good job, then by all means these games would have probably done very well for Rockstar. So I think context is important here. If they do a better job at remastering Red Dead Redemption and GTA 4, well, they'll probably do well. With that said though, Kotaku actually reached out to their own sources regarding this claim as well, and they claim that they're hearing similar things. According to them, a Red Dead Redemption and GTA 4 remaster has been shelved while they commit more resources to GTA 6. So there actually is a little bit of a silver lining here, as well. That is actually good news. And it is possible that after GTA 6 is finished, they might return to the idea of porting these once shelved games. Now, we also got a couple of Square Enix release dates today, one confirmed and then the other potentially leaked. We'll first go over the confirmed game here, being their upcoming strategy RPG, Diofield Chronicle. During a live stream, they did confirm that it will release in Japan on September 22nd for all platforms, being PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, as well as PC. Even better news here though is that they're also releasing a demo a month ahead of time on August 10th, where you'll be able to play the entire first chapter, which will transfer over to the complete game if you decide to purchase it. Considering this is a new IP and everything, that's actually very welcome news, as you'll get a chance to try it out yourself to figure out if you like it or not. That's something that I'll likely take advantage of myself, because I actually am intrigued by this game. Based on what we've seen so far, I do think the Diofield looks promising. I know a lot of fans out there, yes, they want Final Fantasy Tactics from Square Enix, but Diofield looks like it might be able to fill that hole just a little bit. At the very least, we'll get to try it out ourselves soon enough with that demo, but if you can't wait, they did just reveal like an hour worth of gameplay at this live stream as they announced its release date, so go check that out. September though, it might actually be a really busy month for Square Enix, because Valkyrie Elysium's release date might have also leaked online, revealing a September 29th release. This is actually coming from the Japanese PlayStation Store, where a trailer was found unveiling some new gameplay and a release date. Now this trailer has since been removed, but as we very well know by this point, the internet, they don't forget. Mistakes like this are remembered. So if this date was final, then we're looking at two big Square Enix releases in like a week's span from one another. That seems a little strange to me, as you would think that they'd want to space their releases out just a little bit more than this, but I guess we'll see here soon enough. Considering this trailer was on the PlayStation Store, I imagine that they'll officially unveil it sometime here rather soon. It could come at any day now, or maybe even today really, so I'll update you on all that as soon as we hear more. Ubisoft also announced some new showcases today, one of which will be dedicated to the re-reveal of Skull and Bones. We actually talked about this in a previous video, as their plans leaked out last month, but we now have an official confirmation as well as a date. Skull and Bones gameplay reveal is set for July 7th at 11 a.m. Pacific time, and we'll kind of see if they can recapture fans' attention after its various delays since it was first announced way back in 2017. It was originally supposed to be like this adaptation of Assassin's Creed Black Flag's naval battles, but we'll see how much that's actually evolved since we last saw it. I'd say that there's also probably a pretty strong chance that we'll get a definitive release date here at its re-reveal, which is rumored to be for November of this year. So the wait might finally, yes finally, be over for Skull and Bones. Ubisoft, though, wasn't quite finished there, though, as they also confirmed a Ubisoft Forward for September 10th, where we'll get updates and new reveals for their upcoming lineup. So this is probably going to be the more exciting of the two showcases here, where we get various updates on games like Splinter Cell, they have Prince of Persia, the Assassin's Creed franchise, maybe we'll see the next big Assassin's Creed game here, and maybe, if they really feel like it, they could also possibly finally show some more on Beyond Good and Evil 2. Probably not though, who am I really kidding, but the next big Ubisoft event is now set for September 10th. Let me know, though, what's your dream game to appear at Ubisoft Forward later this year? I'm going to go and say for myself, Rayman, but for some reason, I kind of feel like that's a bit of a dead dream. Let's go and talk about Xbox Game Pass, though, because 14 games are now confirmed for the month of July. They did announce 12 games today for the first wave that will be releasing within the first 15 days of the month, and we can actually check those out here. As you can see, this includes DJ Maxx Respect 5, Matchpoint, My Friend Peppa Pig, Paw Patrol, Adventure City Calls, Power Wash Simulator, Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, Yakuza Kiwami 2, Road 96, Escape Academy, Last Call BBS, and then last but not least, you have Overwhelm. Now you can take a look at the picture here to see what platforms they'll be available on, but I think the big inclusions here would probably be Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 1, and then Yakuza Kiwami 2. All these games are available today, so you can actually go check those out right now as soon as you want to. Now, these were previously in Game Pass before, so your excitement will probably depend on if you've played these games or not before, but if you haven't, as I've said on this channel time and time again, these are some of the best story-driven games in the entire industry. They have some of the most thrilling and emotional stories with plot twists at every turn, especially with Yakuza 0. I absolutely love that game, but they also have great atmosphere with their Japanese settings, and I think that they're just overall fun games with their beat-em-up style gameplay. With these games now coming back to Game Pass, though, that means that you can actually play the entire mainline Yakuza series on Xbox Game Pass, including Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, and Like a Dragon, aka Yakuza 7. Now, if you do find yourself liking the Yakuza series, though, I would also highly recommend buying the Judgment spin-off series, which has a different cast of characters, but equally as brilliant. Another game that I think stands out in this lineup, though, would be Escape Academy, which is actually releasing day one on July 14th. This is a puzzle game where you try to escape different rooms as fast as you can, and it actually also can be played cooperatively. From what we've seen so far, though, I would say that the puzzles, they do seem very clever, which makes sense in retrospect, as it was revealed that the puzzles in this game was actually created by experts in the field of real-time life escape rooms. So I thought that was pretty cool, and with this being a video game, they of course can really use their imagination here and just go all out with the puzzles in this game. I do like that aspect though, as well as it being a cooperative game. As for some of these other Game Pass titles though, they might not necessarily grab everybody, but I think for those that have young children, the inclusions of My Friend Peppa Pig and Paw Patrol are actually quietly welcome titles. No, they're not necessarily big AAA games, but they're still nice, family-friendly titles. Where I think things get truly interesting, though, is in the second half of July, where we already have 2 more confirmed titles, being As Dusk Falls and then Immortality. As Dusk Falls is planned to release on July 19th, and it's actually being published by Xbox Game Studios themselves. It's this really unique visual novel interactive drama type of game, and I think that the art style is quite stunning. It's supposed to have this really gripping story where you explore the lives of 2 different families across 30 years, and you'll have to make several impactful decisions along the game's journey. I believe they actually said it was partially inspired by Breaking Bad, which definitely has my attention, and I think that if this one reviews well, it really could end up turning into a big surprise hit when it releases later this month on July 19th. As for Immortality, this is another FMV style game from Sam Barlow, which is the creator of Her Story and Telling Lies. These are very unique games where you have to kind of investigate, and that's what you're doing in Immortality as well, where you try to solve the mystery of a missing actress. You'll go back and investigate many films that she's appeared in, and I think that if you like some of Sam Barlow's previous work, such as Her Story, which was received very well, you might want to try Immortality when it releases directly into Xbox Game Pass on July 26. So there you have it. 14 games have already been confirmed for the month of July, and really, we're just beginning. There, of course, will be more confirmed games as a part of the second wave from July 15th to July 31st. So as soon as we hear about those games, of course, I will let you all know as soon as possible. PlayStation also seems to quietly be working on a much requested feature behind the scenes, as a new job listing has been spotted online, possibly revealing some exciting future plans. And that would be for none other than a PlayStation Classic Emulation. You can actually take a look here where the job listing states, quote unquote, as a classics engineer, you would closely work with a group of other engineers, producers, and QA teams to fix bugs, add new features, and develop new emulators. And it's that last part there that's just so intriguing. It does indeed make it sound like that they're working on more PlayStation emulators for their modern platforms, being the PlayStation 5 and the PlayStation 4. Of course, recently they got PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and even PSP titles working natively on their modern consoles, but there's still two notable absences here, being the Vita and then the PlayStation 3. This job listing, though, does suggest that that might change sometime in the future, though, and this does kind of line up with some other things that we've heard as of recent. Just yesterday, we talked about a PlayStation patent that seemingly outlines plans to get PlayStation 3 games that makes use of peripherals, such as the PlayStation iToy as an example, working on the PlayStation 5. Now, that's just a patent, and that doesn't necessarily confirm anything per se, but it does show that Sony is taking a closer look at PlayStation 3 games. As of this moment, PS3 games can only be streamed to the PlayStation 5, but is it possible that they're looking to emulate those games natively? I imagine that they probably very much are going in that direction, and in fact, earlier this year, the often reliable Jeff Grubb stated that he had heard from his sources that Sony is working on PlayStation 3 emulation. So now we're starting to get this information from multiple places, from PlayStation themselves, this job listing, and from Jeff Grubb, and suddenly this all just seems a little bit more realistic. I also think that this just kind of makes sense. The thing is that Sony, they just released their new PlayStation Plus tiers, and their most expensive tier being PlayStation Plus Premium, one of its primary selling points is classic titles. So of course, Sony's going to want to improve that service over time. They're not just going to let it sit there. They're going to want to sweeten the pot to entice even more subscribers. And what better way to do that than by adding PlayStation 3 emulation? I think that that alone would suddenly make the service a lot more attractive. Now, if they can also get Vita emulation, well then you're really talking, because as much as that console was a failure, I also think it's one of the most underrated consoles of all time. There's truthfully a lot of really good games on the PlayStation Vita. Nonetheless, though, it definitely seems like Sony might be up to something here, which, like I said before, I do think that that makes sense. Obviously, Sony's going to want to improve PlayStation Plus Premium, and this would definitely be a great way of doing just that. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, with Nintendo spending significantly more on raw material, do you think that they will release a new console in 2023? And as you can see here, most of you all believe this is not the case, with 66% of you saying no, while only 25% of you said yes. So I think I'm kind of in agreement with you all here as well. I'm going to kind of remain firm on my original prediction, and that is 2024. I really don't believe that Nintendo needs to be in any rush to get a new console out to the market. The Switch is still putting up record-breaking numbers with no signs of slowdown whatsoever, and in fact, I mean, they still have plenty of games within the next 2 or so years that will keep that momentum going forward. You have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet coming out later this year, then there's Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 coming out next year. Those two games alone will be massive for the Nintendo Switch. They also have DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So again, I think that they have plenty of games that will keep that momentum going forward for the Nintendo Switch into 2024, But at the same time, one thing to kind of consider is that they might want to get that next generation of a Nintendo console out before that momentum starts to slow down. Something to keep in mind is that transition from the Wii to the Wii U. By the time the Wii U released, the momentum for the Wii was well gone by that point. So they don't want to repeat that mistake either, so there's got to be this nice balancing act on when they should release this console. 2024 though, I still think that sounds really good, but with that raw material report, I mean, it does have me reconsidering a little bit, but I'm going to stick with my original prediction of 2024. It does seem like a lot of you all are in agreement with that as well. Anyways though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.